What's up, man?
Hey, what's up? I had my daughter's name on here because she does some online classes. So,
I was looking like, who's Leela?
hang on, let me change that so people don't get confused. How you feeling, man? There you go. Should be all set, I hope.
Oh, so we haven't really started yet, but I'm live streaming this on YouTube.
Sounds good.
So people are gonna just come and go. I've received messages from like, I don't know, 25, 30 people
All
that want to
right.
come in. So I don't know if I'm gonna let everyone in at one time because it's a lot to control. Plus, I don't want anyone like flashing us or doing something stupid and
Yeah.
trouble. So I figure we just do our normal podcast like we always do, and then I'm just going to admit people so they can ask questions or whatever, talk about how they felt about the season, all just normal stuff.
Sounds good.
Give me a second. So I'm going to make sure I mute everybody else but us. So admit them. All right, cool. You unmuted yourself?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. If I mute you by mistake, just go ahead and unmute yourself.
It's fine. No worries.
All right.
You're gonna get to be the moderator of a Zoom while trying to host a podcast at the same time. That should be interesting.
It's definitely going to be interesting. Let me get out of this. All right. What's up, Alan?
How are you, man? You all right?
I'm good, man. Alan, I'm gonna mute you. I'm gonna have everybody muted except for me and Vinay, and then I'll bring you in so you can ask questions. Talk about the Lakers, all that stuff.
That's good, man. No worries.
All right, good. All right, let's get this show on the road. All right, recording this also. All right. Welcome to the Lakers Central Podcast. It's me and Vinay, and this is a bit different because this is a Lakers celebration Zoom party. The first time I've ever done this, so bear with me, folks. I don't know how wild this will get as different people join us, but the Lakers won the championship, and I think it's just good for us to reflect back as much as we can just on this season and probably the seasons leading up to this. People are already talking about next season and free agency and trade rumors, and it's only been 6 days since we won the championship. I'm not ready to jump into what the team will look like next year, man. So, Vinay, how have you been these last 6 days?
I am enjoying the peace and quiet that's on the timeline has been for the past 6 days. You're absolutely right. At the time of us recording this, it has not even been a full week since the Lakers won a championship. But I'm glad to see that a lot of Laker fans are every day doing that little positive affirmation thing where they just keep mentioning that the Lakers are still the champions. So I'm glad to see that. A lot of Laker fans are making sure that they're very thorough with their receipts and continuing to dunk on all the people that were telling us that they had no chance of winning or the team wasn't going to win. But yeah, man, it's I'm just like, the timeline is, at least my timeline, I don't follow that many people, but I follow like a few aggregators so that I don't have to like I don't go into non-basketball stuff, but it's been so nice and peaceful. So I've been enjoying that quite a bit. Just reading stuff here and there, and people opting out and opting in, and what decisions, and what's going on with other teams. But it's just nice. It's a different feeling when you win a championship. There's like this like relief, and there's like this quietness. There's no angst or anything like that when it comes to winning a championship afterwards.
You're right, man. I mean, so I follow more people than you do. You keep who you follow. It's a much tighter ship than me. But what I found is that like I've never been one to like stick my chest out. The Lakers have 16 championships. I believe in basketball karma like you do. So yeah. I never want to get ahead of myself. But we won this year, and I've just been like, I'm gonna talk a little shit. Like I'm gonna talk a little shit because we've been down the last decade, and it's been fun kind of being able to talk and just say what I want. And then like yesterday, I found myself in Twitter beef, which usually doesn't happen, with the Clippers writer Farbod. And I was listening to the Locked On Lakers with Anthony, Pete, and Harrison, and they mentioned that the Clippers had sent out some, jerseys and stuff to media. Mm-hmm. So a couple hours later, I tweeted it, and then it picked up a little steam. And so Farbod saw what I had said, and he felt like I was wrong. So what he did was shout out to my guy Brian, who's credentialed Clippers writer. I'm really cool with that guy. He's a really good guy. So Brian, responded and said he didn't get anything, but he said it jokingly. Me and him know each other. We text or whatever on the side. So that's how Farbod saw what I said. And so what he did was he blocked me, and then he made a comment. Well, I went to my personal account and read his comment, and he called me stupid. And then he went on to say that it didn't happen, while confirming that it did actually happen, which was really interesting. And so I responded to him, whatever, and then he blocked me on my personal account, and it just became this thing, man. And I'm just like, look, we won, and I'm gonna talk a little shit. That the sending out the tweet about the Clippers sending out jerseys and stuff, that wasn't so much about talking trash as much as it was kind of piggybacking on that anonymous Lakers executive talking about the media war, winning the media battle.
Of course.
That the Clippers tried to do all season long.
Well, I mean, it's not only that, but I think one of the things that Laker fans have definitely been trying to, I don't know if it's rub it in, but remind everybody else about is the amount of effort and time that was taken by a lot of folks that were in the media. Clippers were a good team. A lot of people expecting them to be championship contenders. And I'm sure they're going to say the same thing next year as well. Doesn't mean that they're not contenders, right? But when you lose, you have to take it. You have to, like, if the Lakers lost, we would have to be taking the same stuff, right? Like all the stuff that we would have tweeted, the stuff we would have made fun of, that stuff would have happened. But it's just, my thing is, if you work in sports journalism, or if you're a writer, if you're a credentialed writer, this is sort of the territory that it comes with. You either got to be above it, or you're just a fan just like us. I don't have any Laker credentials, but I don't get people like when I say stuff like the positive affirmations when the Lakers lose. Like, I actually don't get anybody who comes up to me and goes, see, you're an idiot, you were wrong. I never get that, because I'm not, like, obviously we could talk about basketball and stuff like that, and we could talk about like, oh, this team's better here and there and all that sort of stuff. But it's just like, when you start getting personal, then people are going to get back personal with you. But then you can't be like, oh, Lakers Twitter's bullying me. It's like, all right, man, then just delete the app, bro. Like, what are we doing here? Why are we being this way? And so it's not specific just to him. I know I've seen a lot of other folks do the same thing, but people just have to understand, like, you can't pull the victim card if you've been obnoxious the whole time too, as well, right? Like, And before social media, that's how it was. Like
Yep.
back in the day, if you were obnoxious, I mean, to be honest, there was no words exchange. You were usually just getting into fights with somebody, some opposing fan. Like that's the way that I grew up. That's like the generation I grew up. And I think it's just, it cracks me up. But like I said, I saw you going back and forth with him. I saw people be like, so you basically just confirmed what he said. The only thing that was different, I think you were saying that it was like during Christmas, and he's like, oh no, it wasn't during Christmas. It was some other time. But like I said, man, like we're allowed to make the jokes because we won. The winners get to write history when it comes to these sort of things. That's the way it's always been. So, we're not going to be too far away from the next season. So all this stuff will recycle itself again, and we'll start talking trash. But until then, until the Lakers are eliminated next year from the playoffs or from the championship or whatever it is, the Lakers are the reigning champs, and they're going to be reigning champs until they're mathematically eliminated from the season. So, hey man, I see people doing it. I don't even say it. I just like it. Go to the next one. Like it. Go to the next one. I don't even mind. I think Laker fans should get their stuff off as much as they want. They earned it.
Yeah, I mean, look, people talked about us all season long, man. I mean, there was just this ridiculous amount of doubt. And you go back before this season and you look at go back to Kobe's contract after he tore his Achilles, right? And you and I have talked about this, like even back then, that was almost like a beacon to other superstars that look, this is how we take care of our own. Like that's really what that was. But when they did that, the media, a lot of non-Lakers fans, even some Lakers fans were critical of the Lakers doing that. And I know basketball players make a ton of money. So what I'm about to say may upset some people, but the truth is guys like Kobe are actually underpaid for the value that they bring to their respective organizations and the NBA itself, right? LeBron is underpaid for what he brings to the NBA. And so when Kobe tore his Achilles and the Lakers gave him that $48 million extension, that was like, one, we're taking care of our own. Two, hey, other superstars, look at this. And then three, I think that the Lakers at that point, they were trying to make sure that Kobe retired a Laker.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that meant something. Like you look back to where we're at now with him being gone. Can you imagine if he had went and played a couple years in Chicago or Charlotte or just anywhere else?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a perfect way to say it. I think there was probably, I wasn't on Twitter at the time, but I know there was a lot of like hubbub in the media about like what did, obviously Kobe wasn't going to rebound at his age from an Achilles tear. But I think Jeannie was very straightforward when she said many times, this is rewarding a guy who brought 5 championships to this team. And you saw that same situation a little bit with Dwayne Wade in Miami. He took that Chicago contract. I don't think he ever wanted to do anything. He just wanted to, make do of whatever his last remaining years were. I think that did symbolize something for guys like LeBron and for future guys that come there, to make sure that they understand that this is and I think Rob says it perfectly. He said, this is a player-centric organization. This is a player-first organization. The Lakers do not have any illusions about what makes them what they are. Like the players on the floor are the ones that win the championships. Coaches, staff, all that stuff, it is what it is. And that is very reminiscent of how Dr. Buss used to run this franchise. He knew that the superstars were the ones that were going to win the championships for them. And it's just really, really great to see. It's really great to see Jeannie kind of take up the same way that she did, the same way her dad did when it came to this sort of stuff. And it's great to see Rob be the guy who's kind of leading the ship. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happened in the calendar year, man. We had a protest in front of Staples.
Yes.
Saying sell the team, fire Rob, Magic is this, trade LeBron. Like there's a lot of different stuff that happened over the course of a year. And it feels like it's been 5 seasons, but it is what it is, man. It's that's the nature. I think a lot of folks are learning about how this fan base is not interested in complacency when we have superstars. Like you have a superstar, we're going for championships. We're not just happy getting to the Western Conference Finals. That's not what this franchise is about. And I'm really proud of Laker fans like having that kind of like attitude when it comes to the like stuff on the timeline. When we're making fun of Clipper fans or any other fans, it comes off as obnoxious. But at the same time, you could see how much pressure Laker fans put on their own players, like Kuzma, Danny Green, Pope, Jared Dudley.
Mhm.
They've all talked about how like they see everything that Lakers Twitter says. Like we're on them. You know what I mean? So if you ever think as a Laker fan that like, oh, I'm just here part of Lakers Twitter, just tweeting and talking to folks, it's not just that. The players are reading what you're saying. Like they're
Oh, yeah.
aware, and we amplify stuff, like in a way that maybe no other fan base does. So enjoy it, man. We were riding it with them. That's the way I treat it.
I feel the same way. And although if you're listening, I'm gonna bring you in a second so you can ask a question or a comment about anything Lakers related that you want. So give me just a second because I want to ask Vinay something real quick. Vinay, Jeannie helped bring this team a championship. How do you think Jim Buss feels right now? I mean, it was his father's team, so I would assume he's got to feel happy, right? But what do you think?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know how. So like Mitch ended up going to Charlotte, and Mitch is the GM for Charlotte, so he got his job back and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't want to say he feels bitter because obviously like the Lakers being successful also means that family makes more money, which means that he gets however much money goes into their family trust. So
right
from a personal aspect, financial aspect, I understand that him probably being happy for the team, but I would have to imagine like some part of him is a little bit like annoyed, because there was such a stark difference from what it is. But this is the way I like to think of it. Okay. Aside from the two signings, which were really bad signings, the Mozgov signing and the Deng signing, Jim had to do what the Sixers did Jim had to run the franchise, whether he did actively or not, but he had to run the franchise during a time period where we couldn't get free agents. And he, whether it was how much it was because of him and Mitch and how much of it was just because Kobe cast this incredible shadow on this franchise. It's very, very hard to follow up Kobe.
It is.
Whatever it was, he did stealth tank the way that we expected, like we thought that he was doing. For all that everybody's always talked about Sam Hinkie and what he's done for the Sixers and landing Simmons and landing Embiid and stuff like that, the Lakers more or less did the same thing. The only difference was we sent our guys out for Anthony Davis once we got another superstar, which was LeBron. But you and I both believe in the basketball gods and cosmic karma and all that sort of stuff. So maybe this was just the way it was supposed to be. Maybe, in the grand scheme of things, we would have never known how great of a how great of an owner Jeannie could be. We would have never known how good Joey and Jesse would have been as in development roles. We would have never known how good Rob would have been in those roles. So, is he maybe like bitter? Maybe. But in the end, like, it's not like she's like, oh, this guy's not my brother. He's not going to like change his last name or something like that. You know what I mean? So in the end, it's always all in the family. And I don't know about you, but like when you have I'm Indian, so we have extended family. So like you don't get along with everybody in your extended family, and not everybody gets along with you. But of course, because we're the Lakers, everything gets magnified to like a crazy degree. So I don't know. I think he's all right. I think in the long grand scheme of things, he'll be all right. I hope if they haven't reconciled behind the scenes, I hope they do reconcile. And I hope like all of this, everything that's happened, Kobe's tragedy, all that sort of stuff, it all brings everybody back together to some degree. I mean, Magic was openly bad-mouthing the franchise. And he was the first guy that Rob called. He's been openly saying, oh, we're repeating. And him and Jeannie seem to be like, have not lost a step, when it comes to this sort of thing. So if they can do a public spat like that and get over it, I would imagine that the Buss family is going to be okay. Probably a little bitter about how things got handled, but in the grand scheme of things, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, ultimately, it was his father's franchise, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Jerry Buss's franchise. And if anything, Dr. Buss was all about winning, getting star players and winning. And Jeannie was able to accomplish both of those things. And so the Lakers win, the more money comes in, the more the Buss family trust goes up, and ultimately the six siblings. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody. Hopefully they've kind of gotten a little bit better, but the Lakers are on top again, and that's what's most important. Aldo, you out there, man?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. What's going on?
Hey guys, nice to meet y'all.
Nice to meet
Thanks.
you.
Man,
Yeah.
thanks for joining us, man. Ask away. Anything you want to say or ask about the Lakers, man.
Well, what can I say? I'm just happy that we finally got number 17. I celebrated all the way over here abroad, currently living in Guatemala City, and I followed the game with a literally major heart attack. And as you can see in my room, I have some Lakers posters over there alongside soccer stuff.
Dope.
And what can I say, guys? 17 is home, and LBJ did it. AD did it. We're the champs again. Nothing but pure happiness by me.
There we go. That's what we want. We want happiness, joy, belief. We finally got 17, and now we can look forward. After this break, we can look forward at 18.
Definitely.
Although I want to ask you, man, what's it like being a Lakers fan abroad?
Oh, driving people nuts with the hat, with my jersey. And whenever you got, let's say, your favorite rappers right there from LA, Compton, you want to brag about everything. And since I work currently unemployed due to the pandemic, call center industry, you find a lot of fans who most of the time they're not Lakers fans. I'm the only one. It's rarely rare that you find a Latino living guy from LA here where I am. You can barely find a true Lakers fan right here.
No, that's awesome. Not only is it awesome to know that you're repping it from like a global standpoint in Guatemala, but it's I think you hit it on the head too. Like the pandemic has affected so many people in different ways, positively and negatively. And one of the things that we talked about was this, even if nothing else, this is like at least a momentary positive thing that we can enjoy as fans together. Basketball came back. The Lakers finally finished the season. They did it the way that we wanted them to. So, I hope everybody that calls in and even you, Aldo, like everything event gradually gets better and better for you as we make our way through the rest of this year.
Thanks. Because like I was telling you guys, when we beat the Clippers twice, it was going crazy. I was going berserk. I drove even all my coworkers nuts back in March. I was going to flippers, floppers, lose, and cursing out. You don't want to imagine. And came restart, the 103-101 win. I was like, win it until we won it.
There we go. Omar got that. Omar got the shirt there. Nice.
And
the finals, I was going crazy.
Aldo, let me ask you one more question before I bring in the next caller. Was there any point in this season where you thought the Lakers might not win the championship?
Whoa. First of the painful moment was opening day and losing Christmas Day. Those days I was like, we may not stand a chance. Game 5 came in the finals. I was like, oh no, we blew it. But then Game 6 came. I was beyond surprised. The major blowout that we did on Miami defense, and how we were like the foot on their throat. And that's where I said, game over. Let's go for the kill, and we did it. But for real, when I thought that we were going to lose the chip, first 2 games against the Flippers and lose in Game 5, I really thought that that's where we were in serious danger.
I think that entire Lakers roster, especially the guys LeBron and Anthony Davis, and especially Rajon Rondo, pretty much let everybody know that the regular season is the regular season. It is what it is, but the playoffs are where you kind of make your bones. So really happy that they turned it around.
All of us, especially Rondo. Rondo, I had no faith in him, but he showed up, and thank God he shut me up and did everything he could to bring us that ring.
Hey, man, thanks for joining the live stream, and I hope you stick around with us. I'll try and get back to you for some more. I got a lot of people that want to get in here, but hey, man, appreciate your support for the podcast, and as always, man, go Lakers.
Yeah, go Lakers. Always from here abroad.
Got it.
Never going to ditch my team.
Talk to you soon, Aldo.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Vinay, isn't it cool, like the Lakers global appeal, like people all over the world supporting the Lakers?
It's a global team, man. It's a global brand. The people who come and play here, I mean, they're all global ambassadors. It's just I don't even know how else to describe like how great they are. I mean, Kobe for a long time was an ambassador abroad for the NBA,
Yes.
and you know, everybody knew he repped the purple and gold. LeBron himself, I mean, winning Olympic gold medals, representing the team, it's just it's great, man. It actually doesn't surprise me at all that we have Laker fans abroad because we're a winning franchise. So I would expect people to rep us, but it's always appreciated. It's very cool to see folks be involved. Even like you know, I know like folks in India that are India fans. They got to wake up like at 5 a.m., 4 a.m., some ridiculous hours just to watch some games. I remember early in the season we were complaining about having to watch the games in China, the preseason games against the Brooklyn Nets. We had to wake up like at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. But I was just like, dude, there's other people who do this like on the regular. So a shout out to all the folks globally who are repping the Lakers through and through.
Let me bring in my man, Lakers Guru. He's been waiting patiently to talk to us. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Alex? What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me, bro.
No problem, man. Anything you want to say, any question you want to ask, man, about the Lakers? Floor is yours.
Thanks, man. I just want to say, I mean, I'm so glad you said what you did about the offseason and everybody kind of rushing into that. And I'm just still savoring this thing, man. Like a barbecue wine, man. I'm not letting it go. I'm savoring it, and I'm going to enjoy it for a while because all these agents do is play the game, play the system of Lakers to try to gas up their clients so they can get a few extra bucks in their pocket. We're not having it. Lakers Nation is savoring this championship for a while, and they can do what they want to do because we're not having it. We know what they're doing.
It's a great point. I think you know, obviously free agency is what it is, but a lot of times the thing that's most important is enjoying these moments. I remember we've talked about it before. I remember being a teenager watching Kobe and Shaq, being a little bit older watching Kobe and Pau, and now I have a kid of my own and I'm watching the games. She doesn't understand anything really like that, but like you forget, you know, like the moments and how intense things were at the time. So I'm on board with you, man. I'm not doing anything. I'm not writing anything. I'm not. I'm doing these podcasts. So I'm doing nothing, man. I'm just sitting back and enjoying this entire thing.
Hey, Lakers Guru, man, what was your favorite part? Your favorite part of the playoffs, man?
One thing I want to point out: this team defensively. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and date myself here. I mean, I remember teams as far back as the mid-90s. And this team defensively, rarely, many times this season, just the speed of the defense, it's almost like we're watching like some NFL defense out there, like some crazy secondary, with the way they were chasing guys off screens, chasing guys like Harden and Key off the three-point line. And I feel like we faced the caliber of individual scores that we faced throughout this playoff run was, I mean, incredible. I don't know if anybody had to face like those type of caliber of individual scores aside from the finals, but everybody had guys that could go off. And Frank, we got to give that man credit because I feel like he was the mastermind. I could be wrong. I'm not on the ends like that, but it just seemed like he was the mastermind of those defensive schemes. And I can't say this is my favorite championship team ever. I think that's too hard. But defensively, I don't know if I saw a Lakers team perform like this before.
Vinay, that's a good point, man. I mean, this Lakers team defensively, like the Lakers teams, the Showtime Lakers are known for obviously their offense, right? Mm-hmm. The Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor's teams offense, you know, the Kobe Powell team's offense, the Shaq Kobe team's offense. Have we seen a Lakers championship team that was offensively as strong as they were with two superstars, but could basically play lockdown defense?
I mean, I'm trying to think of like, I don't even know if we had like lockdown. We had like really good high effort defenders during those Kobe and Shaq years. Now, obviously we had like Ron Artest and Trevor Ariza was incredible, like for the championship that he won with us too as well. So, I mean, I don't know if we had a like super lockdown defense like that. I think the structure, the theme has always been like, don't give shots at the rim and do your best. But I would say that the field of the field of offensive players that we had to go through to get to a championship this year was pretty crazy. I think Dame, Russ, Harden, CJ, Murray, who looks like he was playing like an MVP candidate practically in the bubble. And then, you know, obviously Jimmy and Miami and what they were going through. Like, I think it's a testament to how good Vogel was, and it's a testament to how good this team was. We mentioned it on a thing, like everybody, the main thing everybody kept talking about is this Lakers defense. The perimeter guys are not like, how are you going to contain all these other guys? Or how are you guys going to keep up with the Dames and the Hardens? And we were like, we don't have to keep up with them. We just have to make sure we stay in front of them, and the rest of the team will do its job. And they did. Like, we don't have to score 30 points from the perimeter. We just have to make sure you don't score 30 points from the perimeter, and that's how we end up winning. And so I think it was a warranted thing. It was a warranted concern. I think a lot of Laker fans are also concerned that, hey, are we going to be good enough on the perimeter? But, you know, this team knew what its identity was. And basically every game that they came in and they played high quality defense, it was basically a blowout. Like, I actually picked the Lakers to sweep Miami because I thought that, like, they would just, even if they played like above average defense, like they would be all right. But that was just how much confidence I had on this team. So I'm not surprised at all. I think it's a winning formula, and it's always going to be a winning formula. Defense wins championships, and I don't think that's ever going to change.
No, I mean, this team, I have to admit, I was surprised that they would basically be a top 3 defensive team all year long. I don't know if I would have expected that, but they were top 5 on both ends of the ball all year. And I mean, I just don't recall a Lakers team having this kind of defensive effort the way that they did. But Lakers championship teams have always played defense when they needed to, but you know, for an extended season and all those things. And for LeBron, when people said LeBron was kind of done, he was taking off, you know, possessions and not playing defense anymore. And year 17, and probably the best part about it is when you bring in Anthony Davis has enough star power and enough talent to basically hold LeBron accountable, and not very many people. Like Dwayne Wade could hold LeBron accountable, right? Kyrie probably couldn't, because I don't know if LeBron really respected him in that, but LeBron clearly respected Anthony Davis. So if he's going to work hard on defense, LeBron was going to have to bring it on defense every night also.
He's I like to think of Anthony Davis as a fountain of youth for LeBron, because he did look up to him to some degree, like as a mentor, but I felt like LeBron playing next to a guy who is like as physically imposing, as quality of an offensive player, probably not the passer that LeBron is, or not necessarily the same IQ level as LeBron is offensively, but like that workhorse kind of guy. Like when you get in the gym with another guy who's got like that same workhorse mentality and stuff like that, it does, for like an older guy, serve like as like a fountain of youth. Like, oh, this guy can do it. So even if I can't do it for 30, 40 minutes straight, I can find the right moments to do it. And I think the accountability definitely made a big difference. I think having veterans on that roster, all being on them, was a big deal too as well.
I agree, man. I want to bring in my man Omar. Omar, can you hear us, man?
Yes, I can. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, man. How's it going, man? How you feeling about that Lakers championship?
Oh my God, I'm still on the high. I don't know if you guys know, I live in Boston, so it's been amazing.
Oh man, hold on. Tell us about that, man.
Man, my wife is a huge diehard Boston Celtics fan. Her family, my family. I grew up, watching the Shaq and Kobe Lakers because my uncle, my dad's brother, that's how I was introduced to basketball. This was when I was, maybe like 4th, 5th grade. And, that was the first time I watched basketball, and I've loved the game. I've played, all throughout high school and college. And man, this championship was just so sweet. I'm still like going off the high, listening to all the pods. Frank Vogel was on a pod the other day. Anthony Davis did an interview. KCP did an interview on TV, and any Lakers content I can get, listen to your guys' pods. It's just been amazing, man. I'm just so like, this season, it's been 1 year since the roster's been, created, and all the craziness, all the chatter that's been, by the media, by everyone, by it's just so sweet. I don't know. I feel like it's so different from the other championships. I don't like ranking them. I think someone said that too. But it's just been amazing. What this team has had to overcome.
I was going to say that I think you made a great point. This, aside from the fact that this was literally an entire calendar year, pretty much from beginning to end of the season, I think that the uniqueness, having to play every other day, being in like a pure gym environment, there's no fans, nobody there to no excuses, no travel excuses, nobody getting poisoned with pizzas or burgers or anything like that. Like this was as pure as a basketball situation as you could possibly ever get. And it's very unique. We may never see anything like this ever again.
Absolutely.
This may be a very, very unique thing in our lives.
And you saw how like every team, every player, their games are elevated because there's no fans. Everyone's locked in game to game. And to just see this team like come together and just step up each round. It's just been amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just so excited. Happy to be here with you guys talking about this Lakers 17th championship.
Thank you for repping in Boston, one of the most dangerous places for Laker fans. But
of course,
thank you for repping.
Of course.
Yeah, to quote the great Ice Cube, you're behind enemy lines, dog. I mean, Omar, let me ask you, man. Living in Boston, were Celtics fans more upset that the Celtics lost this year or that the Lakers won?
Oh, that the Lakers won. Definitely. Dude, I call out all my – I know I sent you a few screenshots, Alex. I call all my Boston Celtics friends, and I've been, like, just sending them texts. I'm like, dude, you guys have been going to the Eastern Conference Finals and just, not passing that the past 3-4 years. And the first time we get, a few stars and, as the Lakers, we took risks. We traded away our young core. We got AD. We've been hearing for so long that Danny Green loves his assets and not trading away his picks and everything. We took that risk, and look where that got us. And that's what the Lakers always do. This is why this franchise is so storied in its global brand. It's the number one franchise in basketball. And it's just, I just love my team. You know what I mean?
Are folks trying to rewrite history in Boston and tell you that they only won 12 championships in Los Angeles?
A few of them, of course. They like cite Bill Simmons, the number one, Boston
Clipper season ticket holder, Bill Simmons.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, that one. No, for sure. But I mean, I just laugh at them. You know what I mean? But you see what they're doing. You know what I mean? The team, the Lakers, and everyone, and obviously the team is in a good spot for next season as well. But still riding the high from this season, man. I'm just so happy.
We're riding it also, man. I appreciate you tuning in with us. I'll try and get back around to you as I try to give everybody as much screen time as possible, man. But as always, thanks for tuning in with us.
Absolutely.
Now, I want to make sure I pronounce your name right, man. So I have this right. How do I pronounce your name? Joe, AKE? Can you hear me? We can't hear you, man. You turn your mic on?
Can you hear me now?
There we go,
we
man.
can hear you. There you go.
All right. My name is I'm so happy as well. I'm a Laker fan, and I'm from Nigeria, and I have
Hey,
to
there we
wake up
go.
I have to wake up every single Laker match around I'll say 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning to watch the games. And I mean, it's just crazy. I love the game. I love the NBA, and I've been following the Lakers for Kobe and Shaq, and man, this season was a roller coaster. I can just remember the Game 5 of the NBA Finals, man. It was just crazy when the last 2 minutes, my heart couldn't take the last 2 minutes. Man, it was just crazy, man.
I feel like everybody around the world was on the same, stressed out, the same exact way watching that game happen.
I mean, I was just crazy like Danny Green. I was like, wow. But man, I love Danny Green because I'm following from the Spurs, and man,
Yeah.
he's a great shooter. So man, I would say I mean Kawhi Duckiness, I hated that in the uh, he should have come to the Lakers. I mean, I thought he was going to come to the Lakers, and I mean, I wanted Kawhi Leonard to come to the Lakers, but I mean, he couldn't come. But I mean, I doubted KCP at the beginning of the season. I really doubted KCP,
Mhm.
and man, he showed up. He showed up for me, and I think I got angry at Avery Bradley not coming to the bubble, but I kind of got over it because I realized it was family stuff.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I just really like the defense of the team because I mean watching LeBron James in Cleveland and with Phil Handy. I mean, I know so many people talk about Frank Vogel, but Phil Handy is a fantastic coach. He's a
Yes.
fantastic coach, and
Mhm.
so many people don't really give him his credit. And I think Jason Kidd and I think Lion Hollins, they are I mean, they are fantastic coaches, and I mean, so many people talking about the Clippers getting Ty Lue. I think the Lakers have the best coaching. I mean, the coaches on the bench in the whole NBA, and it really showed up in the playoffs because I mean, Phil Handy and Jason Kidd. They really, I mean, I watched a podcast with Gerard Dudley,
Yeah.
and he was talking about Phil Handy giving some things. So I was like, man, that our coaches on the bench they really did good for us this playoffs. I mean, the season was. I mean, I wanted the season obviously to end, but I mean to play out 82 games, but I mean we couldn't play that. But I mean, I'm so happy to get to see Anthony Davis in the Lakers uniform win the NBA championship, the trophy in his hand. Man, that was just
Something
crazy
else,
to
right? It's an amazing feeling, amazing thing to
It's
see.
amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I think you made a great point. So much of this season, everybody was talking about all the different ways things could go wrong. The coaches would stab each other in the back. You know, players wouldn't get along. People would be worried about shots, all that sort of stuff. And I think you hit it on the
Yeah.
head. The fact that aside from, obviously having veteran players, but having a coaching staff that was fully bought in with each other. There was a lot of stories about
Yeah.
Vogel, including Kidd, letting Kidd kind of do his thing, about Phil
Sure,
Handy
sure.
working with specific guys, working with AD. I don't know what Phil Handy and Mike Penberthy, our shooting coach, I don't know what they did to fix AD's mid-range game, but that guy was insane in the playoffs
Yeah.
and in the bubble. So hats off to everybody. It was a full team effort to get that championship.
And let me add this part
Sure,
too, man. I mean, I
sure.
think there was a lot of questions. There were people that were questioning the Lakers coaching staff coming in, right? Vogel wasn't the first choice. He was the third choice. Jason Kidd was going to backstab Vogel, right? And then
Yeah.
Lionel Hollins, he didn't have a lot of success as a head coach. Phil Handy, a lot of people love Phil Handy. People didn't really know Mike Penberthy. He actually played for the Lakers. He was on the Shaq Kobe Lakers, I believe, in the early 2000s.
Kobe, yeah.
The one thing about this coaching staff, they complemented each other. Like that was the best part. They all had a role and they complemented each other. And so shout out to that coaching staff, man. And look, man, shout out to you waking up 2-3 in the morning watching Lakers games in
in
Nigeria.
Nigeria. That's crazy.
Man,
That is
it's
crazy.
man. Man. But I got
Appreciate
used to it. Like I always watch the NBA finals around that time. So
Right,
man,
right.
I'm a big fan of the game. So I mean,
Appreciate you even more, man. It's no joke waking up to those hours. I know Alex always complains about the late games on the East Coast, but
East Coast.
yeah, you're on a different level, bro.
yeah.
Hey, man, thanks for
Great,
joining the podcast, man. We'll try to get back around with you, but thank you
For
again
sure,
for all the
for
support, man. We glad we got number 17
Yeah.
with you.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Vinay, man, it's crazy. I know the Lakers are a worldwide franchise, man, but like Guatemala, Nigeria, I mean, like it's amazing the kind of support that the Lakers get around the world.
It's nuts, man. We've already had somebody, like just like you mentioned, somebody from Guatemala and then somebody from Nigeria. I'm not surprised, man. Laker fans are very hardcore fans. As much as people like to say that we're like casual fans and stuff like that, I've never in my life run into folks that are like not that like they can't name at least like the 10 guys that are like part of the regular rotation. Laker fans pay attention, so I'm not surprised at all. To be dedicated, I don't know. I've got a kid, so for me personally, like even if I was single, I was like, would I wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning to watch the Lakers? I was like, no way, bro. I'm going to sleep, man. I'm not doing that. I value my own time. But I have nothing but hats off to the folks who do it, man. That's amazing. Amazing dedication.
So let me bring in my next guest, man. My man Mike, one of my co-hosts from Off the Record. Mike, man, what's going on, man?
What's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm trying to whisper. The sun is asleep, so bear with me. But
There we go.
so I'm probably, as Alex knows, I'm probably the only non-Lakers fan in the room right now. But I do respect what you guys did, but I do have a question. And I was kind of trying to save it for our show, Alex, but I can't hold it any longer. How much credit, and you guys may have touched on this and I may have missed it because I jumped on late. How much credit does Magic get for this championship? And does he get a ring?
Well, so let me just say this. I don't think he gets a ring because he's not officially an employee anymore, but I don't believe LeBron James is a Laker without Magic Johnson going to meet him at 901 at his house 2 years ago.
Right.
I think if Jim Buss showed up at his house, I don't think LeBron's a Laker. What do you think, Vinay?
Yeah, I would say probably exactly the same thing. The only thing I would think, I agree on both of your points about the ring and about him being a Laker. I don't think he's a Laker. I don't think Bron would have been a Laker if Magic isn't the guy who meets with him. That's probably been Magic's best ability to sell the franchise. And sell like the city of Los Angeles. I mean, you've said it before, he's a made man. The part about the ring, though, is kind of a good question. Even though he wasn't part of the team this year, he was part of bringing LeBron James. Like, I don't think Jeannie thinks to herself that like he wasn't part of that process. So I really wouldn't be surprised if he gets one just because of that. But I don't even know if it even bothers Magic whether he gets one or not. He's just happy for the team. He's always been Laker through and through. And look, man, like the Lakers are two guys in my generation. It's Magic and Kobe, and I don't see it any other way. And Magic could show up anywhere in Los Angeles and do whatever he wants. It really doesn't matter. So I think Magic's probably also a little secure, like in his like own legacy and all that sort of stuff. He probably doesn't even care about it. He's just happy that we won. But man, I will say I hope we're able to attend games because that opening ring ceremony game, I know Magic's going to be there. So I'm just looking forward to the whole Laker family being out there for that process.
I think the thing with Magic is, man, like Magic, he said this kind of when he stepped down. He likes to just be Magic. And in an official capacity with the Lakers, he cannot just be Magic, right? And you saw it after the Lakers won. What's one of the first things he said? He's talking about Luka Doncic joining the Lakers. Like, that is so crazy, right? I mean, that's Magic doing what Magic does. So
I'm sorry to believe, people were making jokes that the reason why Magic quit was so he could tamper. And I was just like, all right, guys, let's relax here. But now I'm like, all right, maybe he did actually quit so he could tamper. I don't know. But that was a great question, Michael. That was a great question.
The funny thing about the ring ceremony is my wife reminded me that I promised that if the Lakers went to the championship, we would come to LA and come to at least one of the games. And of course that didn't happen. So if the world is right and, we can be in the stands, we'll be in the house for the ring ceremony game. Vinay, you did say I could stay at your house, right? I think you told me that some time ago.
I've got extra room. We're going to be doing some renovations, but it should be done by the time the next season starts. So you're always welcome to show up and we can go carpool together to the games.
By the way, Vinay, that shirt is sick, man. I was trying to,
Thank you.
One of y'all live broadcasts, I was trying to type that in the chat box, but I missed it. But that shirt is sick.
Yeah, man. It's from Javier.
Yep.
It's Golden Knight GFX. So I usually retweet them. So I'll send you a link in case you need it. I don't know if he still has a shirt there available, but I'm sure you could reach out to him. I wouldn't be surprised if he has some extras lying around somewhere.
And I've got his contact information, Mike. He did the first Laker Central logo, so I can always connect you with him.
Okay. Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. But yeah, man, let me say this. I already told Alex this, but congratulations to all y'all, man, that's in here. People trying to shortchange the championship because it was in the bubble. But I think people like Meta World Peace said, this was probably one of the hardest championships to get.
Mhm.
Being locked away for 3 months, away from your family, not able to really get away from basketball. So
Mhm.
people
And
need to quit with that. So
yeah.
congrats to y'all, man. I know y'all waited 10 years, and I know 10 years to the Lakers franchise is like 55 years. But congrats, man.
Appreciate that. I was you brought up another great point. Like, one of the things apparently that was super hard is these guys couldn't be around their families. So they had no home games to eat, home cooked meals, or sleep in their own beds. And, we saw with like the Paul George thing, like he would go to his phone after games just to like see what was going on with the world. And he's probably getting bombarded with jokes every single game. We saw that with Danny Green and stuff like that. So it's pretty crazy to live in a world where your only outside contact outside contact is just through your phone. So I a lot of respect to all the players that went to the bubble, and a lot of respect to the guys that made it out of there, and the sacrifice they did for their paychecks as well as for everybody else's entertainment and for the fans out there.
Man, it's funny, man. It's just like Mike is right. 10 years felt like 55 years. I mean, it is different being a Lakers fan, and in some regards we're spoiled. But when we're down, man, like I feel like when you win so much and then you're down, it's like the whole world is kicking you. It's different. Like when the Wizards are bad, I mean, the Wizards are bad. Like no one really cares, right? But when the Lakers are bad, their entire world cares, and it's different. So this is a very satisfying championship that we got, man. Let me bring in Matt, who runs Lakers UK. Matt, man, where are you at these days? You're in London. Where are you at?
Paris.
How's it going, man?
Yeah, good. Very tired. Just starting to get back on the regular sleep pattern now. But man, like it was tough for them players going through them series, but it was tough getting up in them early hours. I'm an hour further, so a lot of the games were like 4 a.m.
Oh my
and then obviously you're trying to work as well. Your working pattern, it was tough.
Hats off to you, Guatemala, Nigeria, UK, Paris, wherever you guys are. I can only imagine how ridiculous those hours must be for you guys to be able to catch some of these games. It's insane. It's just it's a very humbling thing to know that there's fans globally out there that are dedicated to the game and dedicated to the team like this. It's just wonderful.
Yeah.
Matt, how will you remember this particular season? Like what most will stick with you?
I think obviously there's like the Kobe tragedy, which is the one that will obviously take over the season. And then obviously there's been the virus and then social justice issues and things like that. But also, looking into the actual team, there's a lot of, Dwight Howard called it a redemption story, but it's not just Dwight Howard, is it? It's Avery Bradley, there's KCP that started off so poorly in the season and turned it round. There's Caruso coming undrafted, going through the G League. I think it's just an all-round special championship for the entire roster, really. I mean, you look at Rob Pelinka, completely, overlooked and supposedly part of a dysfunctional organization. I think there's a lot of different themes surrounding this season. But I think that's one of them that I will remember it by, just how these players came together, created unbelievable chemistry, and absolutely stormed their way through the playoffs, because they really did. I mean, there were a few moments where you were kind of thinking, oh, this is getting a little bit difficult, but to go to gentleman's sweep the first 3 rounds and then 4-2 in the finals, it was, I wouldn't say, I'm not sure easy is the right word, but it was an incredible effort to, snatch what they thought was rightfully theirs and get back on top, really.
Yeah, no, I think there's a great point. There were so many small stories, individual stories amongst the roster, amongst the coaching staff, all that sort of stuff that was involved with just this team being successful. And I think one of the special parts of this series is that if you were watching every single game, there were so many games that were tightly contested. Like we're so used to seeing blowouts the past 5 years. Just one team goes in, wins by 30. Then they go to the visiting arena, and then they get blown out by 30. And this year it felt like there wasn't that many blowouts. There were crazy comebacks by so many teams. But if you watch the games and you saw how tightly contested some of those fourth quarters were, like, it's a testament to the coaching staff and the team that they all were on the same page defensively, execution wise. And then we got heroics, right? You got an Anthony Davis game winner. You got like maybe 2 or 3 like masterclass fourth quarters from LeBron James, just like taking over the game with everything he was doing. And those things, like, even though these series finished 4-1, somebody who never watched any of the games may go, oh, well, the Lakers must have just rolled these guys. They won 4-1. But if you watch these games, you saw how tightly contested and how hard these other teams are fighting. And that's part of what makes the experience so awesome. And so that's a great point, Matt. Like, there's so many storylines, even outside of just what happened with Kobe and to the franchise, that was really, really important to this team. I think that helped them all band together too for the season.
I think that's really important, man. I also think, like, and Matt kind of talked about Pelinka for a moment. Pelinka deserves his flowers, man. He really does. And for him to finish 8th, I think, and the executive of the year voting, and then he didn't get any first place votes.
We didn't even talk about how they didn't win anything. They won no awards.
They didn't get coach of the year, didn't get executive of the year, didn't get MVP, didn't get defensive player of the year. But I mean, we got the most important one of them all. I mean,
right.
Matt, after this particular championship, do you think Rob Pelinka will get more respect going into next year?
I would like to think so, but the narrative around the Lakers just never changes. So I'm really not sure what the answer is to that question, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We just won a championship, like you said. That's everything. I think a lot of receipts have been coming out after this championship, when especially from, all the Clippers, billboards and everything. I mean, I'm not over in LA or even stateside, but, I saw them all at the start of the season, and a lot of teams were shouting loud. And, I think these awards, these end of the season awards are cool, you know what I mean? But everyone wants a chip, and, we've got that. And, I'm not sure they'll necessarily run it back next year. Looks like it's going to look a little bit different. But, I'm sure, I think Rob Pelinka, in terms of within the industry, has probably earned his plaudits. I'm not sure if the public perception has changed too much, because people find a way to hate the Lakers, don't they? So, but, he's done a fantastic job. Laker Nation love him, as they do with the whole team, no matter who comes back or who doesn't come back. They've all got a place in our hearts. And let's see what the off season brings. I'm sure he'll do a great job anyway. I've got faith in him.
I agree, man. Matt, thanks for tuning in, man. Keep up the good work with everything you're doing over there at Lakers UK, man. You already know I follow it. So, but keep up the great work, man. Let's hope we get another championship next season.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And thanks for doing this as well. It's good to be part of it.
Hey, you're welcome, man. Thank you. Vinay, let me bring in Josh. Let me see if Josh has a question for us.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, you out there? Can you hear me? He's still muted, so maybe he's not around.
No worries. No, I think Matt kind of brought up a good point. This is sort of just the way it is. Like, people are just gonna hate on us, unfounded. But I think one of the best parts of the season were that so many of the things, like, people were saying we couldn't do or didn't deserve or weren't able to do, they all just kind of got flipped on their heads, right? Is Anthony Davis a guy who's actually really good in the playoffs? Can he elevate his game in the playoffs? Well, he did that. He hit a game winner to put an exclamation point on that. When we think about, like, is Frank Vogel a good adjustments coach? Can he make adjustments? Will he do things? Will he bench guys? Will he do that? He did it. And, we saw that with JaVale. We saw it with Dwight in the finals. Like, he went with a guy who was playing better, but when that guy stopped playing better, he went with a completely different guy on top of that. So, would there be an issue with LeBron and Anthony Davis playing together? Would Anthony Davis play the 5 more? All these different things, different conversation points that everybody was questions. Some of them were warranted, some of them were unwarranted. They all got answered. So it's like I honestly don't know, are there things that the Lakers can improve on next year? For sure. They could probably improve on their shooting. They could probably improve on like certain small things here and there. But like for the most part, like they were a pretty complete team. And they had really smart guys, and we had 2 of the best leaders in the game right now. And definitely, the very best leader in the game in LeBron. So, I'm glad. I think he does deserve his respect, but we know how it works with the Lakers. No matter, we could win 10 championships in a row, and people are still going to be talking about us like we could, we won't even make the playoffs. So that's just the Laker way. It's just what we got to get used to.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Rob, as long as LeBron's on the team, it's going to be difficult, I think, for him to get the respect he deserves. But even more so, as long as, there are multiple clutch clients on this roster, it makes it really difficult. And I'm a big believer in to succeed in any industry, you need to be a people person. You need to get along with others. You need to kind of work well. And I think Rob Pelinka's greatest strength is he recognizes that, look, clearly, working with Clutch has its advantages, right? Like dating back to bringing KCP on and kind of Rich Paul getting to know Jeanie Buss a bit. And that clearly opened the door to LeBron. And I believe LeBron had even mentioned when he came to the Lakers, like him and Magic Johnson didn't really know each other that well.
Yeah.
Right. Like you would think 2 superstars, Hall of Famers, all this stuff, but
they're probably rubbing elbows
well
all the time. Yeah. But apparently not. Yeah.
And so I think Rob's greatest strength is recognizing that like he doesn't need to stick his chest out. He doesn't need to like slam his hand on the desk and say, I'm the guy running the show. I can collaborate with everyone above me, everyone beside me, everyone below me, even someone that's kind of outside the Lakers organization like Rich Paul, and make this thing work. Because the truth is, I don't care who gets the credit. Ultimately, it's about the team holding up that Larry O'Brien at the end of the year.
Yep.
And that's what the Lakers did. And so I hope that Rob Pelinka gets a little more respect next season. People love to hate the Lakers. So I mean,
it's fashionable now. It's the cool thing to do is not to be a Laker fan. So you're always going to have people do stuff like that. I'm sure, like I've said, it's like a traveling circus. There's people who don't even care about the NBA, but there's like this traveling circus of fans that jumps to like every different fan base that it can, that as long as it means that they beat the Lakers. So, I mean, if you're anybody who ends up listening to this that gets upset that Laker fans are being obnoxious, well, you should start looking at your own fan base and figuring out which guys are wasting their time trying to inflame ours so we don't come and jump on you afterwards. So, that's just the way the game goes, man. That's how fan bases work on social media. But I think Rob is very much you as Kobe's agent. He knows what's the important thing. If the Lakers win championships, the organization's making a ton of money. Their TV ratings are going up. He's getting a raise. Jeanie's making more money. Winning matters. And as long as the Lakers are winning and they keep winning or they're competing for titles, he will always be relevant and that franchise will always be relevant. That's all that matters. Who cares? Like, it's not going to matter. He's going to get a ring. Whether somebody else had more of a hand in doing something, like if Magic was the only guy that met LeBron, like, and Rob was the guy who worked with Rich a year later, like, even if they both get rings, it's the same thing for them. They're both equally important parts. And I think that's the part that Laker fans appreciate a lot about this team. Every single guy had some role to play in some fashion. Even Dudley, who got no minutes. He was literally our PR guy for the team. The entire season. He was always part of that process in calling guys out defensively in film sessions or speaking on behalf of the Lakers. He's doing it now. He's speaking basically on behalf of this roster and when he's doing these podcasts. So it's great, man. Everybody played their role and they played it great. So no complaints here.
I'm glad you brought up Dudley because I want to ask you something about him real quick. But before I get to that, the Lakers have a lot of celebrity fans, a lot of, fans in high places. So I do want to play a little bit of Nipsey Hussle in the background, man, because Nip, he's no longer with us, but everybody knows he was a huge Lakers fan. So let me play a little bit of Nip in the background. You guys hear that?
I'm not able to hear it, but they may be able to hear it on the other stream.
I'll get it. I'm going to get it on because I want you to hear. You got to hear Nip. We love Nip over here. But let me ask you this, man. Dudley went on, I think it was the Ringer, one of the Ringers podcasts, and he mentioned the Lakers were kind of laughing when the Clippers didn't beat Denver. And he mentioned specifically teams didn't want to be in the bubble.
Yeah.
You think the Clippers, they just didn't want to be there and they conked out?
I don't think they conked out. I think they lost. And I think Denver definitely beat them. I do know that there was that story that they had to peer pressure each other into playing basketball. They had to take a vote, everybody or nobody. So I think that was a little bit interesting, but they lost, man. They showed up, they lost. I can't take that away from the Nuggets.
No, the Nuggets. Look, man, the Clippers were up 3-1. They had their opportunity. Credit the Nuggets, man. They stormed back. They absolutely stormed back. And even though we beat them in 5 games, the Nuggets weren't an easy out. I mean, you mentioned this a number of times. People are going to look back on this finals or this playoff run and say the Lakers went 5-5, 5-6. But a lot of these games were closer. Could have went either way. I mean, Anthony Davis hit that crazy shot. Yeah. Imagine if he didn't hit that game winner, man. You never know what can happen. And so, but I think Jared was right in that. I don't think a lot of these players really wanted to be there, and I think that goes further about the mental aspect of being in this bubble. I don't know how much tougher this particular championship run was relative to any other, but I do know within my 39 years of being on this planet, I don't recall an NBA championship taking place during the pandemic, social justice, maybe the biggest athlete on the planet dying out of nowhere, right? These things don't happen every championship run. And then having to spend 90 to 100 days away from your family, even if you're in 5-star hotels, that's not easy. So this is, I don't think that all these guys really wanted to be there. And if that played into any of the reasons why a team like the Clippers did make it, well, so be it. But I might believe that they really didn't want to face the Lakers in the first place.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if they wanted to.
I mean, it's possible that they just look past their opponent. Maybe they were looking too much at the Lakers and they forgot who was right in front of them. And that's really what it was for me. But again, the Lakers kept every post game. They kept getting asked. LeBron kept getting asked. Everybody kept getting asked. Okay, now what? They're like, nope. Job's not finished. What's the next game? We got to finish off Denver. We got to finish game 2. We got to finish game 3. That's the way the game works. You don't get to jump ahead, and if you do, what happens is what happened to the Clippers. The rules are the same for everybody. People had to stay in the same, more or less the same hotels, eat the same food, the same routine, same courts. None of that stuff changes. So if there's people that are on other teams that didn't want to be there, you shouldn't have gone. You probably hurt your team by showing up. But if everybody's all in it together, that's whoever comes out on top is who comes out on top. So I wouldn't diminish anybody. Aside, even if the Lakers didn't win, I wouldn't diminish anybody's effort as it went into this. But hey, man, we talked about the Clippers having a lack of discipline, and when we saw that too, when Lou left to go, I think, for a funeral viewing, and then decided to stop by and the shenanigans that he went through. There's nothing wrong with getting food. I understand Atlanta culture, why they have wings. It's his own wings. It's like his branded wings. So I get that. But it probably didn't help that a few days later, somebody came out and said, yeah, he was taking dances too, aside from his wings. So it's just it's that lack of discipline, man. You can't, what are you here for? What are we here to do? And so can't knock the Lakers, obviously. But I know that Dudley said that they did. I don't know if the entire team didn't want to be there. But I think there was probably some individuals that didn't want to be there, because I do remember them saying that they had to take a vote to decide whether all of them were even going to the bubble to begin with. So I remember Laker fans were making jokes that somebody on the Clippers was basically peer pressuring the rest of the team to show up. I just think it's kind of corny to now be like, oh, they not Dudley's not corny, but just to say that oh, they didn't want to be there. You should have just not shown up. But again, this is social media, public pressure, because everybody knew that if you're a Clippers fan, if somebody doesn't show up, let's say Lou Williams says, you know what, I don't want to go to the bubble. imagine how people would react to that, right?
Yep.
Like, and if he's not showing up just because he doesn't want to, that's different. Like Avery Bradley said, hey, look, I have a son that has respiratory issues. Like, I can't even risk this. But like, we don't know if that's the reason why Lou wouldn't show up. Maybe there are guys that just didn't want to do it. They're like, hey man, I haven't played in 4 months. I don't want to have to go through this process. So, you know, stuff like that, you know, there's different reasons and stuff like that. So I wouldn't knock anybody for it, but I'm not going to knock the guys that were like, all right, I'm going to finish this season. I put in my work for this season. I think somebody just, Omar mentioned it just now in the chat that like Caruso skipped his sister's wedding.
Yeah.
So that's just the way it goes, man. Some people are committed to it. Some people are committed to finishing the season. Some people, it's a casual environment, or, you know, maybe they just don't feel like it for whatever reason. So, you know, it's just the way things go. I am glad that the players that went there though, and shout out to the NBA for making it a specific initiative to talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, to talk about the Breonna Taylor stuff, even to have, I think they had LeBron and a couple other guys speak after her verdict and the stuff came out in regards to what they were doing with her situation after the court case. Like, they never really forgot that, you know, that stuff was always there. So it's good that they didn't lose that opportunity or misuse that opportunity as a league and all the players.
Yeah, no, the NBA did a phenomenal job. I can find no fault in how they handled this. And so this was one for the ages, man. And I'm glad that, you know, we were able to sit here and talk and chat with all these other Laker fans from all around the world, all the Lakers fans that I know you and I engage with on Twitter, and just even in our lives, friends that we have that are, you know, Lakers fans with us as well. We're going to close out just about on that. Anybody, if you've got anything you want to say, throw your hand up. Lakers Guru, I see you, so I'm going to unmute you in just a second. But if you've got anything you want to ask me, Vinay, or just anything you want to add, make sure that you chime in, raise your hand. But Lakers Guru, man, what's up? What's up?
Hey, just 2 quick questions for first one, I remember where I was the day when LeBron signed. I remember what I was doing, and I want to ask you guys if you remember, if you recall, if you could share. I was driving down the coast, up to Dana Point when I got that clutch bomb, not the Rouge bomb. We don't have him, but when I got that clutch bomb, I was pulling up to Dana Point and telling all the surfers and everybody on my way down to the shore. What about y'all?
You want to go first, Alex, or you want me to go?
Go ahead, Vinay. You go first, man. You're a LA resident.
Yeah, I was hanging out with friends, and that news dropped, and we were all Laker fans, me and my buddies, my brother, all of us, and we were just all like I don't want to cuss, but we were like basically, oh shit, like, you know, like LeBron's coming to LA. We also knew that Magic would be like the first, like, would be waiting outside his house. We're like, so, you know, a lot of us are grown up as Magic fans. We're like, we know Magic's going to close the deal. Like, we know that if Bron meets with Magic, there's no way he's going anywhere else. And I had a feeling he was going to come to the Lakers because there was a story that Rich Paul went to Philly and Bron didn't go to Philly himself to go talk to Philly management. I was just like, yo, this guy's coming back. I mean, this guy's coming to LA, bro. And I was just happy, man. There's nothing else to it. I was probably happier than when I saw the eventual Woj bomb saying that the Lakers are traded traded with the Pelicans to get AD, but I was with friends, man. That's the best way to be with friends, fellow Laker fans, and just enjoy that that moment.
So I'm on the East Coast, as a lot of Lakers fans know, and I was at my man Mike, who was in here with us a few minutes ago. I was at his house. He was having a cookout, and we were waiting, like every free agency, just waiting to find out what's going to happen. And I was sitting at the table in his kitchen, and one of his fiance's friends was like, "LeBron's time for the Lakers." And I was just like, no, we didn't. Like I didn't hear about it yet. And she was like, no, he did. And they turned on ESPN and showing up at the bottom of the screen, it's going across the screen. And I was just like, I got up, like I screamed. I got up and I went and hugged my other co-host, Brandon. He's a Knicks fan, so he suffered a lot of agony over the years. So I went and hugged him, and I'm like, we're back. And I'm like hopping up and down needless to say, I proceeded to get drunk the rest of that night. And then I think I was up on Twitter till like 3 a.m. just reading all the updates and stuff about him. And I was so happy, man, because we had been down for so long. You know,
we could have landed a free agent for the life of us. And we landed the biggest free agent of probably all time. So I see. I know how that feels.
So that's how I found out. And then so let's actually close out on this, man. Vinay, what were you doing when Anthony Davis became a Laker?
I was actually sitting in front of my computer doing some work, and I had Twitter up, a little web version of Twitter up on my screen, and I was just doing work and whatever. And there was like this weird thing that happened. There's this thing that always happens during this time, like when free agency happens. There's like this lull. It gets like real quiet, and for a while, like after all the stuff that was going on about AD, Lakers got the 4th pick, all that sort of stuff. I was like, all right, we know what assets the Lakers have. All the spinning that Woj was doing, Boston's got the assets. They're ready to give up Tatum and Brown. Like, these guys aren't doing none of that shit. Like, they're not giving up Tatum. They're not giving up Brown. That's not happening. And then they're like, oh, the Clippers may be in it, but they don't want to give up Shea Gilgeous. Like, there's all these different conversations. The Nets are in it. They want to get KD and Kyrie and all that. So I was just like, all right, man, like it's going to go to the Lakers. It's just going to come down to what is it going to cost us to get this guy? And I want to say for like 2 days straight, like a Thursday and a Friday, it was all quiet. There was no news and everybody was real quiet. So I was just like, all right, when it gets quiet like this, some shit's about to go down. And I think it was on a Saturday is when the news broke. I want to say it was Friday or Saturday is when the news broke. And I was just sitting there working, and then boom, just like across my Twitter on my computer, the thing comes through. And I was just like, the same way I'm sitting here right now in front of everybody. I was sitting in front of my computer, and when it happened, I just did one of these. I just did just like this. I was just like, we're finally done, because there again, like that was such a period where everybody was like, no, the Lakers aren't going to get him. He doesn't want to go to the Lakers. He doesn't want to do this. He's going to be better in Boston, and Kyrie's going to recruit him to Boston. Everybody telling us what we couldn't do, only for us to end up doing it. And it was celebratory. Texted my brother, texted all my buddies in the group chat. Oh shit, we got Anthony Davis. Like, this is gonna be a problem. And that's it, man. I enjoyed my Saturday. Went out for a walk. Told my wife's like, "Who's Anthony Davis?" I was like, "It's this guy from New Orleans. He's really good. Like, trust me. Like, he's gonna be really good with LeBron and stuff like that." And I just got to writing. You know, I got to tweeting. I was just like, people don't realize how good LeBron and Anthony Davis are gonna be with each other. Like, people are gonna say that they're going to take shots from each other. That's not how they are. And this guy's like a perfect fit next to LeBron. He's like, and he's almost underrated the way people talk about him because he played for the Pelicans and stuff like that. And obviously there's a part of me that was also like, you know, thank you Ingram and thank you Lonzo for being like good enough that we didn't have to give a whole bunch of extra guys out just to try and get you and stuff like that. So that was me. I was just in front of my computer like I am now, writing stuff just to finally see the news break. Because as you know, I'm very anti-Woj because I know that there's just he just never for some reason we know he hates LeBron, but he just hates the Lakers. And when the Clippers got bounced, I only sent one tweet. I was just like, I hope everything that you did, all the spinning that you did for this team was worth it. And clearly he's blocking Laker fans left and right.
Oh man, I want so. I was going to end it, but I do want to talk about Woj for a second since you brought him up. But when Anthony Davis news hit, I was at this lounge in DC called Park at 14th. And like you said, a few days, things have been quiet. And I remember that day, like I was out and I had on these Jordan 1s, LA to Chicago's that I had bought I love Jordans, and anything Lakers related, I'll buy. So like, I don't know. I felt like it was good luck. I had them on. Me and my wife, we were out with her sister and our brother-in-law. We're out at brunch at this lounge. And I'm eating my waffles. I'm like looking down, and my wife is like, babe, look. And like, they have TVs everywhere and it's flashing. Anthony Davis has been traded to the Lakers. And I'm like, my eyes get all big, and I'm like, I start like fist pumping in the air like Michael Jordan used to do after winning a championship. And my sister-in-law was like, is he good? And I was like, is he good? like, yeah, this is a game changer. Like, I was so happy. And like, the waitress walked by and I like grabbed her. I'm like, we got LeBron. And she looks at me, we got Anthony Davis. And she looks at me like I'm crazy. Like, but I was just so excited, man. But since you brought up Woj, let's close out on this part, man. So I know you've noticed he has not tweeted anything Lakers related since they won the championship. And usually all the major guys at least say, Lakers have won 2020 World, whatever team won.
Some basic tweet, yeah.
Some basic. He hasn't said anything. Like, why do you think that is?
Well, because he's a bum and he's not objective. Like, for a guy who's a big, like, I mean, it's not like he's a writer anymore, right? He's just like a newsbreaker, and
right.
He has his sources or whatever. That's the only explanation I have. I think he's a bum. Like, I don't think that. I think what he does is he just leverages access for good PR, and the Lakers didn't give him access, so he was butthurt about it. So he would never say anything positive about it. So my household is a Shams Charania household now. So it's
shout out to Shams.
So that's all that I have to say about that. But he's never gonna do it. Like, this guy was like, he was doing like almost real time, like conversation by conversation coverage of the Anthony Davis trade. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, even the Kawhi stuff too, to some degree, but it's just, the one thing I think this is something I encourage all Laker fans to understand is blue check or no blue check, 10,000 followers or 100,000 followers. Many of the folks that do writing, the only difference and watch the game and analyze the game, from what I've learned this season, is the only difference between those folks and us is that they have access and credentials that we don't. But we're all watching the same game, so you just got to enjoy it. And just enjoy it. I'm always going to take victory laps on Woj because I know he's never going to say anything good about us, so I'll enjoy it.
I'm surprised he hasn't blocked me, man, because like I've been going at him pretty hard the last 4 or 5 days, and like people have been sending me screenshots to him blocking them because they're retweeting my tweet about him, and I'm like, look, man, he's the biggest newsbreaker in almost in sports, certainly in basketball. Shams is right there, but Woj is Woj, right? Like, at least say, hey, Lakers won the championship. He's blatantly, so people have said that these guys like Woj don't care who wins or loses. They they have a preference, but all year long, even going back to last year, he clearly was anti-Lakers, and this year more pro. And for the Lakers to win and him to neglect us winning and not say anything, to me, just basically confirms what we all knew already, right?
Yep.
Like he's butthurt about it. Like, it's so crazy,
I mean, that's the way I'm treating his silence as consent that he's butthurt about the Lakers winning. That's what I'm treating it as.
Do you think that the coverage around the Lakers gets any better next season? Like, it gets smarter, or is it still all this nonsense?
I think local media is going to be better about their coverage with the Lakers, and they're not going to be disrespectful the way they were, just kind of saying that people were incompetent next year because we won. I don't know about the national coverage because, like I said, anti-LeBron content, anti-Laker content, that's the stuff that gets engagement. So you're already seeing ESPN guys say, "Oh, the Warriors are going to stop the Lakers from making it to the finals again." So it's like, we still got to play the games, fellas. Like, these games still got to happen. So until that time comes, until they get eliminated, I'm not sweating anything at all. The Lakers are champs, and they're going to be champs until they're not. So that's the way it's going to be.
Hey, man, I'm with you on that. I'm glad we're champions. I don't care how much Woj or anybody else is upset about it. You should have paid attention all year long, man. LeBron plus any top tier star almost always means a championship, man. So, but hey, this was a fun one, man. First time that we kind of opened it up to other people joining us, man. So maybe we'll do it again at some point. I think we're probably going to take a little bit of a break and kind of soak in this Lakers win, because it's been a long ride, man. So as always, Vinay, thanks for riding with me all this time. When I started this podcast, you were like one of the first. You were the first person I consider that was like a big Lakers person to ever even like join me on the pod, man. So it's been a fun ride, man, and I appreciate you riding with me this entire time.
Of course, I'm always humbled and always honored to be part of this process. And I'm even, as we kind of cap this, like, I'm even more humbled and honored to be part of this conversation with all these other folks that joined us from all over the world. It's always easy, to go on Twitter and just act like you got a big brain compared to everybody else. But when it comes to really enjoying basketball, it only happens when you have people who enjoy it with you. And so I appreciate the opportunity to be on here and just talk about Lakers and stuff like that. But I'm always humbled by being able to join conversations with real hardcore fans. It felt like we did a radio show right now, so I really appreciate all the awesome questions and stuff that came from all the guys all over the world. So all the guys where it's like super late or something like that, I hope you get some sleep. I hope you enjoy. But like I said before, enjoy it. The Lakers are champs until they're not. And I hope everybody has a continuingly healthy and prosperous rest of the year.
Keep celebrating the championship, man. I mean, free agency will come at some point, but just soak up the championship. That's what's most important. So we'll close out on that note, man. Thank everybody who joined Laker Central this season. Thank all you guys that joined us right now for this Zoom live stream. You guys are real ones, getting up at 3 a.m. like Bené said. I thought I had it bad watching Lakers games from 10:30 to 1 a.m. in the morning, but waking up at 2, 3, you're a real one, man. So shout out to all you